I investigated the country where slavery is still legal.
This is the United States of America, where slavery is still legal under the 13th Amendment if you've been convicted of a crime.
You can be legally enslaved. If it looks like slavery, it smells like slavery, it sounds like slavery, it's slavery.
Turns out, when Abraham Lincoln abolished slavery by ratifying the 13th Amendment in 1865, they left in one little exception: convicted criminals.
You locked up? We're gonna slay the to ass.
Like everyone's slave, not just black people, everyone now.
And refusal to work can be met with harsh punishments like solitary confinement, loss of privileges like visitation, phone calls, commissary access, recreation time, family visits, good time credits, and access to books, hygiene products, and snacks.
What state is this in? Because I heard of this before we even started watching this video, before you guys recommended this, but from TikTok. This has to be like Louisiana. I know the Constitution applies to all 50. I know that not every state's doing this shit. It applies to all states, but this imagery, bro, that's got to be a southern state.
And the prisoners that do make small amounts of money can have up to 80% of their earnings deducted.
I've seen this. I've seen this in New Jersey. Prisoners picking up trash on the side of the road. And it like, I think they get money for it and it might get time off their sentence. You like driving down the road and there's like it's usually like, yeah, it looks like a little like a Sprinter van.
Their earnings deducted for various prison-related expenses before they see any of it, while 7 states pay them nothing. So who benefits?
Bro, 7 states make them pay and they get nothing from it. McDonald's uses inmates to produce frozen foods. Inmates process beef for patties. They also process bread, milk, and chicken products.
Off of their labor. And does America have
Starbucks? The fuck is Starbucks doing with prisoners? Company uses inmates to cut costs. Starbucks subcontractor signature hired Washington State prisoners to package holiday coffees.
To have financial upside in locking more and more Americans in prison to maintain a steady supply of state-owned slaves.
How many people are in prison right now in the U.S.? Guess. Almost 2 million. It peaked at around 2010. And has dipped slightly. But we still have, I think, the highest amount of incarcerated people.
More importantly, did slavery ever end in America?
2 million people are in jail right now. Not jail, prison in the U.S.
Or did it just rebrand itself to something more socially acceptable?
Some may not know is almost half of those men and women fighting fires are convicted felons.
And this, clear.
But it's not money these inmates are working for. It's their future freedom.
Before I speak up with ex-prisoners who are locked up in Texas,
I think if the prisoners are given the option to work for money or reduced sentence time, I don't think that's wrong. But if they have to work and get nothing in return, not like cheap wages, nothing in return. I also don't want to be that guy. The idea of for-profit prisons is, I gotta turn on political warning. Anyways, the idea of for-profit prisons, somebody said, well, if they're rapists, I'm saying the idea of trying to change criminals to being functional citizens of society and throwing them in a prison that is made to make money is it's a business. Prison should not be a business. They should be dead even. They should make no money outside of the people that they have to. There shouldn't be profit involved in prisons. You're supposed to turn people that are bad into good people, citizens that are functioning in society. Why? Because if you have a for-profit prison, that's going to it's going to incentivize the people that run those prisons to be bad, cut costs, and force those prisoners to do things they don't want to do so they can make money. And you can sit here and say, and I will say it's a valid point, that a lot of the people that are, doing that are, rapists, murderers, and things of those sorts. But at the same time, you can't sit there and think that this guy in the fucking top hat and the suit that's like, nah, see, like, you think that's a stand-up guy that's fucking profiting off of people that are incarcerated? Like, that's not a good dude. Like, you can't, on both ends of the spectrum, it's not like the money's getting funneled into charities. It's like a rich prison owner.
Texas work in the deadly hot fields for their master.
Oh my God. Like, bro, I mean, Come on. White guy on a horse. White guy on a horse, and you got a bunch of black people holding pickaxes. This literally just looks like slavery.
Fields for their master, Uncle Sam. I went to one of the most incarcerated cities in America to see if they knew that slavery is still legal in America. Did you know it's still legal to enslave someone if they commit a crime in the United States of America?
You know what? I think we're all slaves.
Did you know about that exception?
What a dumbass answer. I would have been like, no, really? If he walked up to me, I would have been like, really? And then I would have asked him about it, because I didn't know that. Right? I knew that was a part of the fucking Constitution, but I didn't think it was applied anywhere.
Wow. Wow, I know that.
Yes, I do
See? Valid response.
know that.
Did not know that.
The way the government is going, yeah, I would believe it, yeah.
Does that come as a surprise?
Yes.
Yeah, that surprised me a bit.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
No, I'm not surprised.
That is disturbing.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy, right? No one really thinks about it.
That's weird.
Do you support slavery?
No comment, buddy.
Fair.
No comment. No comment. Just say no. What do you mean, no comment? You gotta plead the fifth on that. It's a no. No. Just say no. What the fuck do you mean? No comment means yes.
Hell no.
Hell no.
No.
No. No. Shouldn't even be a thought in mind, ever.
I'm not saying they should, but it will happen. And if it do, and people don't fight back, that's on them.
Do you think slavery ever ended in America?
No, it's just transformed. It's never changed. It's always been that way.
If you know the process.
Well, I think the way the world functions, even if this wasn't a thing, I don't want to say slavery, but the manipulation of underprivileged people will exist in society. It basically got shipped off to China, where child labor existed for a very long period of time, even now, where a lot of the things that you own are made by children that make nothing. Like the shirt you're wearing or the shoes you're wearing or what you have in your house was likely made by like an impoverished kid, right? Like, or something, yeah, your phone. Something like that. Those things, it's moved. It's moved from, okay, well now it's not, slavery doesn't exist here in the same sense that it used to, but now it still exists in some convoluted form elsewhere, or even here now.
Of how indentured servitude went and then how it formed slavery, you'd understand that this is what's going on now, just not just black people anymore. So like everyone's slave, not just black people, not just people of color, it's everyone now, and everyone's starting to feel it.
I think that law should be ratified. It should be changed for sure.
No, it shouldn't be legal to enslave somebody if they commit a crime.
I think realistically, people that are convicted of extremely heavy crimes obviously should be like the fucking prison time should be focused on, making them a normal functioning citizen, but also just leave them in prison. I think people that are getting convicted for like robbery or like assault and things that are still bad, but like 4, 5 years, 6-year sentences, I think those people, it would make sense for them to be able to work, and every day they work, they get a day off their prison sentence. Because then, like, if you're in prison for 5 years, you work for 2.5 years, you're out in half the time, Like that, I think that makes more sense, but because they're getting something out of it.
Is there any crime that would warrant whiplashing in the fields, like plantation style?
No, absolutely
They're doing that?
not.
No matter the crime?
No matter.
Even like a child rapist?
Well, it's just, it's not even the argument of those people are committing terrible fucking crimes, but then stooping to that level is as immoral as them, right? Slavery's wrong regardless of situation. It's the idea of what you're doing to other humans.
No one.
Murder?
No one.
This is getting way heavy.
Murder?
Yeah, I mean, those guys, I don't know.
Maybe fuck them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Even if
you're a murderer, though, you can't, like, enslaving someone is stooping to that level of morality that you claim they have. Like, enslaving someone is not viewing that person as a human. And they're a bad person, but they're not, they're still a human. right? Like, they're still a person. Like, you're now on their level for doing that.
No, there's no slaves. Shouldn't be any slaves.
I mean, I think all crimes are different levels. I mean, you're getting dealt with in there by other inmates. Justice happen on its own. Whipping like that, we're going back 100 years or right there.
The crime and the time should match.
No forced labor?
No.
And the severity of their crime should matter and how much time they get. Like I said, our legal system is jacked up. People are getting more time than they deserve for small things that are like as much as a gram of weed.
Where I draw the line is that if there's corporations making money on it, like not employing actual people and just using the inmates, then I see a problem.
And then they can't keep the job once they get released from prison due to the felony status oftentimes.
Yeah, it's not good.
I feel like the federal prison system is just like recycling black men specifically. Due to like the laws that are being passed, it's hard to make change. The oligarchy that holds the power is making it harder for us to reach the change.
We realize the 13th and 14th Amendment created two citizenships within the United States. Freed the slaves, that's one citizenship. You're born a United States citizen. You're not under the rule of the United States government that exists today. It is a corporation.
And we're employees to this corporation or what?
You are slavery to that corporation.
Gray,
That's why
yellow?
they have an income tax. You're a slave under that.
Let's make sure that we're not putting...
Yeah, but then what was he saying? I don't know the point he's making. Like, saying because we pay income tax, we're slaves to the corporate system of the United States government. If you don't pay taxes, you don't have a government. The government doesn't protect you. You don't have a country to live under. Every country has taxes. If you don't have taxes, you don't have a country. You don't have a government.
Ourselves in position to become slaves. But when you have predators out there, it's not a choice. The gazelle doesn't choose to get eaten by the lion.
You locked up? We're gonna slay the shit out you.
Do you know anyone who's gotten a felony?
One of my best friends, but he trying to shake back, you know, I'm supporting him for that.
Not immediate family, but I know somebody who has people who got like long sentences for...
I think there's times where, yeah, you should just throw somebody in jail for the rest of their fucking life and shut the door. But I don't want to say that the Nordic countries have it right, but when you focus on rehabilitation, people can actually enter back into society. Like, it's not uncommon in the United States for people that commit petty crimes to then repeat worse crimes because they've only gotten worse in prison, especially if you're young. Like, you guys, like, if you throw, like, a young 20-year-old in jail that's just getting into the adult world and he's in prison for 5 years, he's fucked once he gets out because now he has a prison record. He's not going to get a job. He doesn't understand how to function in society. So the only thing that he's going to revert back to doing is committing crimes. And then they're fucked again, right? And so it's just, like, same thing with, like, juvie systems.
Very, very minimal things.
How has that affected their life?
Forever.
Forever?
Forever. Go to jail, that's a wrap.
After talking to the people of New Orleans, I headed over to Gatesville, Texas, home to 5 out of the 9 women's prisons and jails in Texas, to meet up with Marcy Simmons, who spent 10 years working the fields out here after stealing $300,000 from her employer. As I was getting B-roll of one of these women's prisons before the interview, a perfect example of the overcriminalization of Americans unfolded before my very eyes.
No, sir, this is private property. You're on state property right now.
This is
No, sir, you
state
are
property?
on private property of the state of Texas.
They try to get a rise out of you.
No,
we just need to get...
we're genuine confusion. As I filmed the outside of a prison funded by the tax dollars of Americans in a public parking lot, filming that which was in plain view, I quickly learned as to how little we really know about what goes on inside the prison walls. So we're trying to get some B-roll on the outside of the prison. Are we within our legal First Amendment rights to film on the outside of the prison?
State property is part of public property.
No. The public property is over there behind that stop sign.
State property is still a part of public property as long as it's publicly accessible land.
Yes, man. Can you 25 me at Valley? I have 2 guys that are...
Yeah, Paul Blart's really going to fucking gonna put a stop to this. He's got to put his foot down here. Yep. Whip out the Segway and the fucking bike helmet.
That's not what's happening.
Well, we're not refusing to... We're trying to get some clarity on the actual line itself.
We're not going to argue.
This is constitutionally protected ability to film on the exterior of the prison,
Y'all
right?
have the right to, to record and all that.
Yeah.
But not on state property on the other side of that stop sign.
That's unconstitutional.
State property is
Okay,
still public land.
what
Yeah.
business do y'all have on this state property right now?
First Amendment, expression, journalism.
Do y'all have an appointment?
No, we don't have an appointment, but we're not trying to come on the inside of the premises. We're on the outside, no?
I don't know if they're legally allowed to be there. I don't know the laws on that. Are you allowed to just chill in a prison parking lot? I mean, it is public property. Like, they could get in trouble for loitering, but they've probably been there for like 5 minutes.
Y'all too close to the gate. I got
Like, I don't think they're trespassing.
inmates here. We don't know who y'all are.
We're not trying to get a rise out of anyone. We prefer if you're out of the shop.
No. We're not gonna be doing that, man. Hey.
Well, once again, we're...
Show them the privacy, man. Show them respect, man.
Show them respect. You guys make them pick fucking vegetables in a field like it's the fucking 1700s. What?
You don't know
What are you
what
talking-
they've been through.
That's not
what's going on.
That's not the point.
That's my whole thing.
You're misunderstanding the whole point. We're trying to get some B-roll on the outside of the prison. Officer Cruz here, I guess, is setting the example for the lack of transparency and the ability for any journalists to gain access and understand what's even happening inside here. Yes.
You cannot be on the premises filming. You don't have authorization. So I'm going to...
It's public property, no?
Sir, I'm going to have to ask y'all to leave. You can't be here filming, okay?
So what we're trying to understand is if you're just making this up or if we're actually in violation of some Texas Penal Code.
I'm not going to answer your rules.
My rules?
Your questions, your questions. I'm just telling you y'all need to leave, okay? Sir, please put your phone down.
I would suggest you don't touch the property.
I'm not touching you, man. You don't have authorization to be recorded.
They're sitting on the floor.
Why is every video that Tyler Oliveira does or any of these journalist videos, like, just people freak out about the camera? Like, I don't know, man. Like, if I'm one of these fucking workers at this prison that's probably not getting paid that well, why am I giving a shit if Tyler Oliveira's fucking recording a 5-minute clip of the outside of the fucking jail fences? Like, I would not give a fuck.
Aircraft have seats in the prison truck or they're being shipped like cattle. Hello. How y'all doing? Hey, we're trying
Yeah, Sheriff Williams.
to get some B-roll of
Yeah, name's Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. How can I help you?
facility here. From our understanding, this is state property and it's constitutionally protected.
You are in violation. And if they ask you to leave, you need to leave. I need your license and your driver's license.
Okay, yes, sir.
As far as secure area, it would be a question of publicly accessible.
I need your driver's license and I need it now,
Yeah.
please. This is a penitentiary that houses very violent criminals. We have killers, rapists, murderers. We have everything in here.
Sure.
And they have family members in the world that will come out here and play the same card.
Yeah.
And when we have people here, we don't know who you are.
I see. Okay.
So why would you
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
come here
That's fair. That's fair. Doug Dimmadome, I may have judged you too soon.
to mess with these people?
We're not here to mess with anyone, though. That's
But
the
that's
confusion.
exactly what's happening. Disrupting their operations.
So we are in violation of Texas Penal Code? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm asking you to do is leave.
So are we violating Texas?
All right, now I'm kind of flipping on Tyler now. All right, I'm all over the place right now. I don't know how I feel about this.
So what I want you to do is get in your car and leave.
All I'm asking is, are we in violation of Texas Penal
One
Code?
more time for you to get in your car and leave.
I'm confused.
We saw the prisoners, a bunch of convicted felons in a van being shipped in and out of the prison. You just experienced the wrath of a small Texas town, big hat, no cattle, quite literally. Zero transparency. The sheriff of the town who
I don't know, man. Like, I'm not saying, okay, I just personally would never want to live in Texas. Not even just this, like this video's its own fucking thing. I would never want to live in Texas. I know Texas, it depends what part actually. Because Texas is weird because it's so big. Is Texas the biggest U.S. state? Maybe Alaska? I don't know by land, but Texas is fucking huge. It's bigger than most countries. Like most European countries would fit inside of Texas. I would say you could probably fit like 5 European countries inside the state of Texas. So where you are in Texas changes what it looks like and how the people act, how they function. Like Austin, Texas is more liberal than other places. And then the more rural places or coastal cities function entirely different than one another. But I don't know. Not living in Texas.
himself showed up within 5 minutes and big dogged us, but we have 5 cop cars coming, bruh.
The same people that are elected to protect the Constitution and to uphold the Constitution and serve the public are utilizing that against you.
My guess is they're...
Well, I just think, okay, this is going to sound like, I don't want to sound like conspiracy theorist. I think if you enter politics at a young age and you're literally somebody that's like just only been in politics your entire life, I'm not even advocating for like businessmen that get into politics. I think just being in politics alone has the same level of like corruption-based power that police officers have. Not all police officers are horrible people, but the idea of like all cops are bad is the idea that you're in a position of power that you're effectively way more likely to abuse. And it's the same thing politically. Like, if you have political reign, especially the higher up you are, you're more capable of doing anything you want. Like, you're not really going to serve the people in that sense. I also think that the people that are actually good political candidates are never the ones that you see on the fucking ballot. Because the ones that are on the ballot are pushed by the party, which have their own intentions themselves. Like, I voted for Kamala Harris in the election, right? Not trying to get real political here. I voted for Kamala Harris, right? I don't think her nor Trump specifically were the best candidates. I think there are way better people that would be president. Like, I loved Pete Buttigieg when he wanted to run, right? Like, that shit was like its own thing. Really getting political here. Like, I just think that it's a popularity contest at the end of the day, because whoever's the most popular is the one that's going to get the most viewed, and that's usually based around how well they are in marketing themselves and their own campaign and monetary backing, rather than their actual capability to be a good president or governor or House of Representative or senator, whatever it may be. Whoever's the one that ends up getting the fucking pull is usually not the best candidate. Just because you have the most backing doesn't mean you're the best person.
And all that. It was a publicly accessible parking lot. There's no gates. There's no signs. Just drive up there 50 feet away. I bet you a lot of things can go missing, or a lot of abuses can go unnoticed out here in these small towns.
After nearly getting arrested myself for filming these prison walls in plain view, to understand what really goes on inside of them, let me introduce you to someone who lived there.
I'm here with Marcy, formerly incarcerated for how many years?
I was locked up for 10 years here in Gatesville for a theft charge.
I also want you to meet George.
I went to prison 3 different times, and I was an addict, and I didn't have the money. And I would target fast food joints, and I would wait till they closed, and then I would throw down on whoever was taking the trash out, and I'd walk them back inside, and more often than not, they had the safe open, and they would give me the money, and I'd leave. Yes, I did 27 total. I was an addict.
27 robberies?
I got out of the Army at right at 19. In South Texas at a dance to go see a girlfriend. I leave the dance, I've been drinking. I get pulled over, so I get a little mouthy with the cops. He didn't like it, he took me to a jail. He puts me in a tank of men who'd been convicted and were awaiting transfer to prison. And I found out later he told them to take care of him. I was beaten, I was raped pretty well all night, kicked out the next morning. And said go home.
So you're beaten and raped?
Oh, yeah, totally, yeah.
And where are we right now?
We are in one of the fields, and I think that there's actually, this was potatoes here that I used to work at. I worked out here in the fields just about my entire incarceration.
10 years straight, how many hours a day did you work, and how much were you paid per hour?
So in Texas, incarcerated folks are paid $0 an hour.
And are you forced to work in the fields?
Yeah, you absolutely have to work. I'm not really against people working, but I'm against people doing kind of needless work. Yeah, day one you get here and they assign you a job, and the next morning you get up and go to work. So day 2 in Big Girl Prison right here on the Dr. Lane Murray unit, I was out in the fields. And so what that looks like is you're strip searched before going to work. They'll say like 3 hoe, because side note, it's called the hoe squad. Yeah, the hoe
in the dirt, or you're a hoe?
Well, I'm sure they mean hoe in the dirt, but of course it was used derogatory, like hoes line up, hoes get over here. It was really degrading.
So it's dehumanizing from the get-go.
For sure, 100%. You hike to a field, and you've got officers on horseback. They're armed. They're shouting directives at you. Day 2 in prison, you don't know what the hell's going on. You're scared. It's really nerve-wracking. You get out here, and if it's August, it's 105 degrees out here in Texas, and it's not air conditioned in the dorm, and so you're already weak. And if you've been in county jail and the air conditioning, you're really weak because of the heat. And you're out here doing field labor, which is really similar to plantation work. Any old plantation movie that you might have seen, that's what this kind of work looks like.
People used to cut their...
I mean, dude, this literally looks like Django Unchained. Like, this looks like I'm watching Django Unchained.
People used to cut their tendons so as to not go out to work in the fields. I got taken from a nice AC job working in a hospital to the fields because I would not falsify documentation backing up their allegations.
They're beating up some dude, right?
Yeah, and they'll do that all the time for much minor stuff. I was put in the fields for a lot of stuff. I got put in the fields because I mouthed off at the guard one time because I stepped on the yellow line in the hallway. So they went ahead and put me back in the fields.
Do you guys have any rights as a prisoner?
If a cop rolls up right now and tells you to get down on the ground, I mean, what rights do you have? You do it to get shot.
And this is Bianca Tylek, a Harvard-educated leading expert in the prison industry and founder of the nonprofit Worth Rises, working to dismantle the prison in...
I want to look up where for-profit prisons are. New Mexico has 30.6 of its prison population in private facilities. That's just so odd. I don't know if these are for-profit, but the idea of like having like a private non-government ran facility just like try and profit off of incarcerated people.
Or be a punishment.
And are people picking cotton? Are they fighting fires? Are they doing crazy work?
And so, like, I'm just thinking about the things that are, like, sometimes here in New York, but all over the country, we have people in all types of jobs. Farm or agriculture is a massive area of prison work. In fact, there's some really crazy reporting right now about sheriffs that are using incarcerated people on their own properties.
Yeah.
Using the people in his jail to like man his own farm.
What?
So we would...
I mean, that has to be illegal, though.
Work anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day. I think they've cut that down to half days now. It was a long day doing very manual labor, doing things like picking potatoes, picking corn, cutting grass with a hoe.
So who was your equivalent of the master? The prison warden? Who did you serve?
Yeah, we served the field boss. We even called him boss. Very culturally similar to plantation days. And you had 2 lead hoes, and we would be at the front of the line, and we would be keeping things organized. We would be keeping the ladies on task, and quite frankly, sometimes even participating in degrading them.
I spent 27 years in prison. Total, I got $100, I think, because Texas...
Oh! $100 in 27 years?
27 years, you earned $100.
They doesn't pay. Texas has maybe a few hundred people out of the 140,000 who work in maybe in Lockhart. They got a couple of private firms that do pay individuals for working. But if there's 140,000 people, there's 139,800 whatever thousand that don't get a penny.
I see.
No, I never got a penny. I worked 13 years in the fields. I worked as a library clerk in the law library. I worked as a kitchen commissary clerk. I washed pots and pans for 3 months because they got mad at me because I wrote a grievance. It was kind of effective. So they transferred me jobs from my job as a library into the kitchen. None of them did I ever get paid.
Were you obligated to work those jobs? Do you have to work in prison like you did?
I think part of the problem, I think the common rebuttal that people are going to have, I'm not really reading chat that much right now, but I think the common rebuttal is, well, they're fucking criminals. This is only going to make them hate the system and hate modern civilization more and more to where they're going to be seeking a level of revenge sometimes when they get out, right? Like, imagine if you commit a crime and instead of them trying to get you to be a good person, they just fucking borderline enslave you, make you work for 20 years, don't pay you anything, fuck with you for fun, and then let you out. Like, what's your next move? Probably go to the house of that prison guard and try and kill him or something? Like, that happens because people don't fucking understand, like, hey, we're making these people even worse than they already may be.
If there is a job that needs to be done in Texas prisons, they will find somebody to do it, regardless of their qualifications, give you an order
oh my God, New Jersey.
to do it. And if you don't do it, for whatever reason, you will get disciplined, you will lose custody in class, you will end up in solitary, and you may end up with more time. Now, having said that, of course I wanted to work. I don't want to sit around my damn ass all the damn time, but I want to do something that's fulfilling, not necessarily spiritually, right, but something that I learned something from, and I think that's most prisoners want that.
32 degrees or below, we're not working in the fields.
Anything below freezing.
Exactly. So we're at the back gate, and we can hear the officers' radios, and they do these every hour temperature checks on the radio, and we're at the back gate lined up, cold as hell, ready to go to work. No issued thermals, just in these state-issued clothes that are thin, the air's hitting our skin, and we hear on the radio that it's 31 degrees, and we started cheering. Like, we were really excited to go back in. And I remember the boss, the lieutenant, he looked over at the other boss and said, I didn't hear anything, did you? And they rolled that gate and we came on out here and we were picking cabbage. It was frozen and it had been raining. So our boots and bottom of our legs were wet. Our socks were wet. They issue these little cotton gloves in the mud. They're not going to stay on your hand. You finally just have to put the gloves down. And we're just picking cabbage, which the people around me, their lips are blue, snot's running down our faces and frozen. And I remember feeling ice on my eyelashes and thinking they really don't give a shit about us. You brought up tampons, and so I need to say working in the field is absolutely insane when you're on your menstrual cycle. Yeah. There's no restroom. They have a porta potty that they carry on a trailer, and tractor pulls it, comes around once every 4 hours. Not everybody gets to use it. So I might be on a squad with 35 other women.
What do you do if you need to change your tampon?
They'll say, deuce it up,
like you just gotta like mid-field fucking pull your pants down.
Break. We all line up. The trailer's there. I would remember like waving my tampon in the air because you're trying to show the boss like I need to go. Like this is important for me to go because they're only gonna pick 5 or 6.
But is the 13th Amendment that allows for the enslavement of criminals
Otherwise you gotta hold your piss? Nah, I'm pissing in the cabbage, bruh. What the fuck? You gotta hold your pee for 8 hours?
The 8th Amendment that protects Americans against cruel or unusual punishments.
Bianca, 1865, does Lincoln free the slaves?
Yes and no. There were certainly millions of people that were freed during that time. But unfortunately, what happened at that time was also that the institution of slavery moved behind prison walls.
There's quite a few organizations out there that go to prison and say, hey, we'll hire some of your people and we'll pay them $1 an hour or whatever, right? And then they'll go out and sell those goods for whatever they sell them out in the free world, right? And then here's the rub. Once I leave prison, Whole Foods won't employ me.
Why won't they employ you?
Because they have restrictions against people who've been incarcerated working for us.
So they'll hire you when you're in prison, but you're no longer viable once you're free.
Well, because they're fine with paying you a fucking $1 an hour. They don't want to pay you minimum wage.
So the average wage for somebody who's incarcerated, right, is 14 cents an hour. And in 7 states, it's actually nothing. Majority of states.
Prison jobs pay $0.25 or less per hour in 14 states. No pay is in Texas, Georgia, what is that? Alabama, Arkansas, South Carolina. What is this state? What's above Louisiana? Who the fuck lives here? That's Arkansas. Then what are these two? Oh, Mississippi.
States do pay something, but we're talking about pennies. People will work for 2 straight weeks and their checks will be $30.
Okay.
Right? And with that, they are expected to support themselves in prison. There's a really, really big common misconception, right? That prison is a free ride. Far from it. The cost of communication, the cost of commissary, of food, of hygiene products, of medical copays. These are all things that people in prison actually pay. Sure. In prison, they've recently introduced emails, and people have to buy stamps to send an email. As if this is like a physical, piece of mail that's going like USPS, right? Like, we are talking about an email at 50 cents an email.
Is it slavery if they compensate you? And if they compensate you, is there a certain amount that qualifies it as, I guess this is some form of employment by the state? What is slavery in your opinion in the context of imprisonment?
Slavery means that you are coerced daily into eating when they tell you to eat, working when they tell you to work, behaving in a way that is conducive to furthering the aims of the institution. And if you don't do those things, they can have you beaten, they can have your good time taken away, they can have you thrown in solitary.
Is there an argument that you're working to pay the cost of what the taxpayer is paying to keep you in prison after you've committed, let's say, a heinous crime? Is that a reasonable argument, or do you say hell no?
It's not unreasonable.
Okay.
If I'm a taxpayer and you commit a heinous crime, my first thing is, I don't want you to do it again.
Yeah.
And I want to ensure that person who you committed it on, if it was violent, heals. Or is a system that I have.
Yeah, the problem is, like, if you're somebody that's affected by one of these prisoners personally, you're going to want them mistreated because they harmed you. Like an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth type thing. But you still have to look at it at an overall perspective where, like, if this person doesn't get help, they're only going to inflict that pain they put on you to somebody else once they're out. if they get out.
Are American prisons designed in such a way to rehabilitate criminals? Or is it simply a system to punish offenders, traumatizing them further and increasing the likelihood of them reoffending after they're released?
The Prison Rape Elimination Act that's supposed to offer protection, I guess, for incarceration.
Prison Rape Elimination Act.
Yes.
So it must be common enough to where they had to implement an act.
Yeah, absolutely. Very common.
Yeah. Day one, you're fighting people multiple times. Yeah. How does it evolve? You get some respect eventually.
Well, I think if you're raping other people, number one, if you're a rapist, that's its own thing. If you're raping people in prison, like, dude, you need to be fucking thrown into another section itself. Like, that's not only are you a danger to the public, now you're a danger to the other people around you, not even like fighting. I would say getting beat up in prison is like one thing. Getting raped by another man in prison is like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
The violence is usually early on, and it's, to see what you're going to do, whether you're weak, whether you're going to be a victim.
They're measuring you up.
If you get with a gang or with a clique or with whatever, right, then it may be a little different, because at that point, the gangs may be called out as a group to do some stuff, right? I would jump on dudes for looking at me wrong. What the f*** you looking at?
Did you ever end up in solitary confinement?
I'm a disruptor out here, and I was a disruptor in there, and I ended up in solitary confinement lots of times. The first time I went to solitary was for hugging. There was a lady that was crying over her mail. She was sitting in the floor, and I kind of bent down and hugged the top of her shoulders, and they saw it on camera. They came and got me. It was like the SWAT team coming in. Yeah, handcuffed me, marched me to solitary. I was there for 2 months.
2 months you're in solitary?
Yeah.
So that's enough time to have permanent psychological damage, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was wild in there. Nothing to do but like read graffiti on the wall, and those cells were hugely, disgustingly dirty. Sometimes you would see blood or even feces like on the walls.
Solitary confinement.
Yeah, dude, being alone. I mean, the white room torture is its own thing where you'll go insane in like 2 days. Solitary confinement, isn't it proven that people actually have like severe mental decline in being there for an extended period of time?
Do you think 10 years helped you more than 1 year or 2 years or 5 years in prison would have helped you understand you did a bad thing and you need to stop doing that? Or?
I think that after about 12 months inside, I really immersed myself into the prison life. After a year, any thoughts of good things were gone. So no, I think that it doesn't matter. I think that humans are going to survive where they're at. They're going to change to be able to survive. I was the worst version of myself while I was incarcerated.
The American prison system is set up to humiliate, degrade, punish, and minimize. The American prison system is full of individuals who are in fact used as free labor for corporations, for companies, for the state. The Texas prison system, as an example, they have 140,000 people there. The guards turn the keys, hand out the mail, count, maybe drive the buses. Okay. Everything else is done by incarcerated individuals, right?
All right, the prisoners run the prison.
Yeah.
Again, we're sitting in the city of New York. It costs us over $500,000 a year to incarcerate one person on Rikers Island.
$500K.
Do you know what we could do with $500K?
Do they want you to end back up in the prison system?
Why is it so expensive? Why is it so expensive? What makes that $500K price even a thing? Like, I understand prisons need to pay for food, guards, electricity, maintenance, upkeeping, probably a lot of legality things because you're holding prisons and security. But $500,000 a person?
Most prisons you go to now, TDCJ, have maybe one psychologist, if that. They don't have psychology. None. If you've been in an environment where you've been degraded and dehumanized for 10, 12, 14 years, and you get out there, you're expected just to walk on society, you feel useless. You feel worthless. You got 20, 25, 30% of the people who are in jails and prisons have severe mental health issues. It's not helped by being in jail. Which means that I don't believe that putting someone in a cage, a literal cage, where they're subject to rape, to kill each other, without access to meaningful health, with incredibly deficient way to meet your whatever nutritional needs, all that. In other words, deprivation. I don't think that helps.
Torture.
All that. I don't think none of that helps. If what you want to do is subject them to the most violent brutality you want, then say it. And don't say that what you want is people to be chained and rehabilitated. Me, as someone who put a...
Yeah, it'd be different. Like, I don't like the idea of the hiding it. Like, if you're gonna support that shit, just say it as it is. Like, say it, we're gonna manipulate people. We're gonna manipulate and use people that were in prison for profit, and we're gonna punish them instead of trying to fix them. Don't say, like, oh, well, we're helping them by showing them how rough it is. Dude, the problem is the entire prison system just would need to be reformatted in every single state.
Changes you would make to the prison system.
We're suing for air conditioning, so that's a big one, is stop cooking people alive. People are dying every summer. Texas A&M did a report that showed some cells at 140 degrees in the summer, and I've seen people die from the heat, and I've seen officers fall out from the heat.
140.
So that's probably like the immediate thing.
They need to live a dignified life, where inequity is crushed,
Sure.
where people feel fulfilled, purpose-driven, and loved, feel connected to the communities and the land that they're on. And that then together in a connected world, we can cure, I'm less likely to cause you harm because I have everything I need and because I'm connected to you as a person. But should I ever cause you harm, that we have the tools between us and in a system to address that harm in a way that...
Well, because most people in there are people that are in the prison system that are just straight up malicious. And then there's people that are in the prison system that are malicious because of some other reason. Like, most people in a genuine society where needs are being met are not going to commit crimes. It's when those needs aren't met is when people commit crimes, right? Like, poor people commit violent crimes much more often because they don't have the things they need to live a life. Are they forgetting that it's prison? It's not supposed to be loving. Just don't go to prison. That's your mindset of how prison is because you've been living in the United States. The way prison is meant to be from a genuine perspective is, yes, punishment. That's why you're being secluded from the rest of society to maintain that safety for the common people, but also to reinvent you as an individual so you're no longer a criminal when you get out. But if you just go, no, we're going to fucking beat you, let you get raped, possibly murdered, and then work for no money, you're only going to leave a worse person. So then you getting out of prison and then your dumb ass going, so did you learn anything? Just don't go to prison now. That guy's going to stab you. That guy's going to fucking kill you, right? Because you don't get it.
At what point do you stop getting second chances?
I don't think any human, I don't care what you do, deserves to be enslaved. I don't care what you did.
So you are anti-slavery regardless of the worst crimes possible you can commit?
Yes, but I also want to say some of these people who, because of decisions they made at a very high level, way distance from the tens of thousands of people who may get killed or poisoned, right, because of some of the stuff that they do, don't get charged with it. I would say that's more heinous than someone who gets out and kills maybe a group of 5.
Yeah, poisoning the food, poisoning the water, destroying the environment.
None of them ever went to jail. None of them ever went to prison. Should they have? In my view, no. I don't think anybody should be in prison.
No one should be sent to prison? No. No one?
I'm an abolitionist, no.
What should they do?
I'm not saying I don't believe in some sort of separation for some folks. A lot of time it takes resources, and it takes time, and it takes a willingness to fail. And I understand that given an infinite supply and an infinite, maybe a watch, maybe sort of regulation on the movement, I don't know. So I have to come down on the side of some sort of separation that is not punitive in nature. You need to find a way to allow individuals who are leaving prison to have kind of a ceremony of return and say, you have, quote unquote, paid your debt to society. Go on there, sign up, and...
That was a fucking good video, dude. Lock in. Next video.